Hey everyone, this is Tony, Taint the Lord A7, and I got a new video. And this video, and in this video, I'm going to show 10 albums that I was really addicted back in high school. I know it's been a while since my last video. Honestly, I wasn't really feeling making any videos, so sorry for the small hiatus, but I thought for this video I would do a fun little ideal where I show off 10 albums that I was really addicted back in high school and give you a glimpse of what kind of music I was really into when I was still, back in high school, which is mostly new metal, industrial metal, and a bit of gothic metal, I guess, but it's mainly mostly new metal bands that I was really addicted to back in high school. So if you're not a fan of it, then you might not enjoy this. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started. The first one will have to be Rammstein's Rosé Rosé, or however you pronounce it, because I don't speak German. But I think this album is probably one of Rammstein's most underrated albums. I don't hear a lot of people talk about this album, and in my opinion, I don't think this album is as good as Mortal. I think Mortal set the ball really high, but I think Rosé Rosé by Rammstein is a pretty decent industrial rock album. Well, it just feels like they went on a more mainstream path. Like it doesn't feel as like sound wise it doesn't feel darker. It feels more lighthearted, I guess. And maybe lyrically it's dark, but I don't speak German, so I wouldn't know. But musically, I feel like this album felt more lighthearted, more aimed towards the mainstream crowd. But still, Rammstein's Rosé Rosé is a good industrial rock album. It has some really great songs on here, and just an album that I used to jam back in high school. So still a good album. I still enjoy it. So yeah, Rammstein's Rosé Rosé. Not as good as Moto, but still a pretty good follow up. Okay, next up is a band that I used to jam a whole lot back in high school. And honestly, I think this debut album by this particular band is by far the best. Hands down, no doubt about it. And that's Linkin Park in the album Hybrid Theory. Yeah, this band and debut album exploded back in the early 2000s. This is probably the best representation of what new metal is capable of, you know? Um, yeah, there's a lot of awesome, amazing songs on here that I used to jam a lot, and just like any high schooler back in the early 2000s, I was really addicted to this band's debut album, Hybrid. It's just really quote unquote heavy and pretty aggressive for being a new metal band. And yeah, this is by far Linkin Park's best album. The debut will never be topped, and I think Hybrid Theory is just an amazing new metal album from Linkin Park. Just just really amazing, really quote unquote heavy, and a lot of memorable songs. So yeah, I used to jam this a lot back in high school. So yeah, Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory, a great album, in my personal opinion. Now, and the next band is a band that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, and honestly, I've heard people talk about that this band is kind of like a Slipknot ripoff because they wear like costumes on stage, but I think they're pretty decent, and that's Mushroom Heads Double X. And this album is actually a compilation of the three previous releases, but this is the only one outside of the latest one called The Devil that I have. But anyways, Mushroom Heads Double X is a compilation of the previous three releases, and I think this is a pretty good album. You know, a good representation of what Mushroom sounded like and what they are. Um, in my opinion, they play like an industrial rock, industrial metal, and new metal kind of sound. And as a high school kid, I really dug it. I think the biggest song on this one is the single "Solitaire Unraveling," which to me is still is an amazing song. But yeah, I've heard a lot of people talk about Mushroom Head being like a Slipknot ripoff because they wear costumes on stage. But I still think Mushroom Head is pretty decent, and Double X is an album that I did enjoy listening to back in high school. So yeah, not a bad album, pretty good stuff. So Mushroom Head's Double X. And the next band is a band I'm pretty sure everybody knows. And I don't think this band needs any introduction. And that's Systems of a Down. System of a Down. Yeah, System of a Down Toxicity. Now, this album was huge. This had a huge impact on me as a high school kid. Like, this album is a blend of alternative metal, new metal, hard rock, and borderline heavy metal. If I dare say that, if I dare say so. But anyways, yeah, this album is huge. Like I think this album is the most successful album in System of a Down's discography. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what this album is. Toxicity is just an amazing album for great songs, memorable hooks, great riffs, some insane singing and growling, and I think it just appeals to a wide variety of music fans, and it's just a very dynamic album. So yeah, System of a Down Toxicity definitely had a huge impact on me as a high school kid, and I still enjoy this album to this day. Just a great album from System of a Down. Toxicity is an absolute banger. Good, really great stuff. Next up is Hatebreed, Perseverance. Now, this album, actually, I was introduced to this band and this album when the song "I Will Be Heard" was featured in the Vin Diesel movie, the Triple X. Yeah, Hatebreed's "I Will Be Heard" was featured on Vin Diesel's Triple X, and I really dug that song. And I think that was like the first Hatebreed song that I ever heard. But Perseverance by Hatebreed is just an awesome metallic hardcore album. And it's just really heavy and aggressive. And I definitely used to jam this back in high school. Really heavy stuff. And with Hatebreed, you kind of know what to expect because they have a sound that's maybe predictable, but it's ultimately satisfying. Just a great metallic hardcore album, in my personal opinion. So, yeah, Hatebreed's Perseverance is just a absolute heavy banger of an album. Really good stuff and really got me to high school. Really good stuff. Next up is another band that I'm pretty sure everybody knows, and that's Lacuna Coil's Caramelize. And in my opinion, this is the last album where they sounded like gothic metal. Like all the previous releases up to Caramelize is just pure straight up gothic metal. But the next album, Karma Code, is where they started to become a little bit more mainstream and added more alternative rock, alternative metal elements. But like I said, Caramelize is the last album where Lacuna Coil sounded straight up gothic metal. Just a lot of amazing songs on this album, and just absolutely fantastic. But yeah, Lacuna Coil's Caramelize is just an excellent, excellent gothic metal album that I would jam from time to time. Really good stuff, and definitely the band's best album. The early stuff can't be beat. So yeah, Lacuna Coil's Caramelize. Okay, next up is another band that everybody knows, and that's Craterfield's Nymphetamine. And I think this is the album that really, really broke them into the more mainstream crowd, because I think the previous release, Damnation a Day, wasn't as successful. So when they signed to World Warner Records and released Nymphetamine, they definitely got more success out of this album. And yeah, Craterfield's Nymphetamine is like a mix of gothic metal with some black metal elements mixed in, mostly vocally. But yeah, and also has some bit of heavy metal moments on here as well. But to me, I think it's mostly like a gothic metal album with some pinch of black metal and a pinch of heavy metal thrown in, mixed in, or whatever. And and the biggest song the biggest song on here is definitely the title track Nymphetamine, featuring Liv Christine, formerly from Liv's Eyes. And that singer definitely was very successful and made Craterfield a household name in the extreme metal scene. But yeah, this is some really good stuff, and I really enjoyed Craterfield's Nymphetamine. Just an excellent album from this band. Okay, next up is All That Remains, This Dark and Hard. And this is one of All That Remains' best album. If I wanted to show someone what aggressive, in your face metalcore is with some great leads and great solos, this this is what I would show. Because in my opinion, All That Remains, This Dark and Hard is definitely one of the band's best. Just a really great, solid metalcore album through and through. Great riffs, great leads, great solos, and it's just all around just a very, very aggressive album from All That Remains. This Dark and Hard is definitely one of the band's best albums, and the early stuff can't be beat. So, yeah, All That Remains, This Dark and Hard. Definitely an album that made me go through high school a lot more easier, in my opinion. Okay, next up is Typo Negative. Life is Killing Me. And yeah, this is just a really solid gothic metal, doom metal album from a band that really don't take themselves too seriously, especially when you read the lyrics. But this is some great, dreary, depressing, but enjoyable gothic metal, doom metal, and definitely an album that's perfect during the autumn season. You know, when high school was just starting out for me back in like September, way back in the day. Yeah, this is just an excellent album, and if you're into like gothic metal, doom metal, I definitely recommend check out Typo Negative's Life is Killing Me. definitely one of the band's best albums, in my opinion. And the last album that really got me through high school and for this video is Ogie's Vapor Transmission. Now, Ogie are a band that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, and I find them to be severely underrated. But if you're into like industrial rock with some new metal touches thrown in, I think Vapor Transmission by Ogie is the band's best album and best representation of that sound, where they blend industrial rock and new metal. And it definitely got me through high school back in the day. And I think Ogie should be a band that should be talked about more. But yeah, Vapor Transmission is just an excellent album from this band, and I really enjoy this one to this day. So yeah, nothing more to say except this is a great album by Ogie. Vapor Transmission is definitely a band that Vapor Transmission is definitely an album to check out by Ogie. And that's it. Those are 10 albums that I used to listen back in high school. I'm, those are 10 albums that I showed that really got me through high school and I still enjoy to this day. If you never heard of them, I'm pretty sure everybody did, but if not, then I definitely recommend checking them out. And definitely, and those are definitely the albums that got me through high school, and I still enjoy to this day. So, let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and thanks for watching.